My name is Albert, and I'm excited to introduce you to the best podcast out there. It's Disney Conversation, the unofficial Disney World family vacation podcast. Say hello to Splash, Sparkles, and T-Bone.
Welcome back to another Disney Conversation. It is June 15th, 2017, and this is Disney Conversation number 10. Before we get started, let's meet the crew.
Hey everybody, this is Splash.
Hi, it's Sparkles.
Last but still the best, T-Bone.
Welcome back, guys. Hope you're having a good week. You guys ready to talk about the news?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Bring it on.
All right, let's jump right in. Our first story today comes from the magazine Real Simple, and the title of the article by Blake Bacala is 7 Things You Might Not Know About Working as a Disney Princess. So, Blake sat down as he often does, I guess, and interviews people, and he was talking to one of the Disney princesses from Disneyland, and he wrote down 7 things that surprised him. So let's go through his list and see if it surprises you guys or if there's anything to talk about here. First thing he learned about working as a Disney princess is that job security is not guaranteed. He found out that you have to audition for everything, and then you have to re-audition every year, and that Disney really keeps these cast members on their toes. So what do y'all think about that? Job security, have you ever thought about that with the princesses?
I feel like if you were to just think about jobs at Disney, that would probably be something that crosses your mind, that someone could always come up and take your place. But
Well, I feel like for a princess, they're probably. I can see that the job security would not be guaranteed, because I think Disney would always be looking for the best fit for that character. So, I mean, you never know when someone's going to come along and will play it better than you. So I can definitely see job security being lower for that than it would be for, say, like Mickey Mouse, where you don't actually have to talk and you have a costume on.
mm-hmm.
All right. Second thing Blake learned was that princesses are really anything but princesses. He said that a lot of people just assume that it's just a bunch of stuck-up girls that think they want to be pretty and real-life princesses, but in reality, found out that it's really none of that. One of the quotes from the person he interviewed is that some of the most down-to-earth, kind, warmest, most intelligent people ever are Disney princesses, and even says that one of the princesses they knew had just graduated college with a forensic criminology degree. So does that surprise you any?
Not that they're kind-hearted and down to earth, so to speak. I think for that type of a job, you have to have that kind of personality, because first of all, you have so much interaction with people that you have to be able to maintain that princess-like stature, So you don't want somebody in there that after 3 hours of greeting people, they're just going to get mad and, not be a princess.
Get a little aggressive.
You wouldn't allow that. So
I'm just curious. Sparkles hadn't said a whole lot. Sparkles, have you ever thought about being a princess? And does any of this surprise you?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I've always thought of being able to do something at Disney like that, though, as a job, is to be one of the dancers there, be a princess or something. But I never really thought about it. Doesn't have job security. I don't know. But it didn't surprise me. Like they said, you do have to be kind to everybody no matter what. Because if you don't, then that makes everybody mad. I don't know. I'm not really surprised.
Okay, well, let's see if this is interesting to you. The third thing they learned was that every princess must look the same, from crown to slippers. not everybody has the same face, but they want them to dress the same. It says that these princesses have to follow a makeup chart, do that the same. Of course, the clothes are the same. But here's a kicker. It says that they're told from the beginning that they have to dress appropriately on and off the clock because they want their mentality to be that they represent Disney all the time. Any thoughts there?
I feel like that is a good idea because they're trying to, like it said here, they're trying to keep the mentality. So if you, in just a real world scenario, if you were to be the complete opposite off the job that you were on the job, then things you do outside of work would carry into your work. Maybe that's being lazy. Maybe that's just all different kinds of things that would carry over into your work. So I think it's good that they try to enforce keeping them the mentality inside of work and outside.
I agree. That doesn't surprise me. I know, like, with my job, it's kind of expected that I don't have to dress in slacks all the time. But even when I'm not at work, it's kind of expected that if I'm going to be seen around town, I'm at least going to stay pretty well kept and not just look like a total slob. Because people, whether or not you realize it, they may, sometimes they're going to know where you work because they'll see you'll interact with them. So I do think that most employers will expect that.
Okay. Number 4, your voice matters. Says that the princesses are expected to learn not just an accent, but also a rhythm and a cadence of how the original actor who voiced the princesses in movies, how they talked. So it probably takes a lot of practice. And it says in the article that princesses are expected to watch those movies over and over and learn those mannerisms and things like that. Do you think it'd be hard to learn to speak like the princesses in the movies?
Yeah, I think it could be difficult, but Disney often tries to push when you meet a character, they really try to push really meeting that character. So whenever you are meeting a character, they want it to be as similar of an experience as meeting the real. If you were to rip the character straight from the movie, they want it to be very similar to that. So by learning cadences and voice parts, it just keeps, like I said, pushing the more realism.
Sparkles, you want to weigh in on that one?
I was just going to say, I think that's really hard, actually, trying to get the actual voice down, especially if you don't have a voice that matches that character. Because especially a lot of the older movies, like people playing Snow White and things like that, they just had higher voices and different voices because it's just different. And then getting the accent down on top of having to make your voice different. Yeah, that'd be hard, especially when your job isn't even secure, but you're expected to really know this person. Yeah.
I think that's where they have to be pretty intelligent too to do this job. I mean, to learn something like this, to reteach yourself something, is not for everybody. So I think that's really impressive that they can do that.
Well, to add on to that, number 5 is that they have to be able to do a lot of improv. So think about it when you've been in the parks and we've met the princesses and things. We've been around little kids who may have been in front of us or whatever. So they're asking questions to the princesses, and I can only imagine some of the questions they get, but they're expected to stay in character and to have an immediate response.
Mm-hmm.
There's no telling a little girl, I'll get back to you on that. How hard do you think that would be to improv all those questions that come out at you?
I think that would be very hard. I think I think to do that, you have to truly become that character. I mean, you have to study everything about them.
Yeah, because there's no way to just get flashcards with what to say because, like you said, those little kids can come up with anything. So you have to be ready for anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to what Slash was saying. You have to study it. How they were saying that they are expected to rewatch the movie over and over and to try to learn that character. So, how you were saying they need to study it, I guess. And how you said they really need to be intelligent because improving a question from maybe a 3-year-old can be very hard. So I'm sure Disney looks for people with personalities that can improv those questions.
And I'm sure Disney gives them more supplemental stuff than just what's in the movie,
Yeah.
to kind of add to the movie storyline to help them field some of those questions. So I can imagine that's, well, like you said, that's no easy task.
So number 6 answers an age-old question of, I don't know if y'all have thought of this question before or not, but tell me if you have, whether characters like Mickey and Minnie get along with the princesses. They call characters that have like a Mickey head or whatever on fuzzies, and then they call the princesses face characters. So anyway, just in case you've wondered, there really isn't a problem between fuzzies and faces. They all seem to get along well.
Alrighty.
Well, and I can understand that because, like at the Magic Kingdom, they've got, what do they call the tunnel system underneath it? Where they,
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
They all hang out down there together in between when they're on and off. So I can understand that.
It would make their job a lot more difficult if they didn't.
Right. Well, I think they probably spend quite a bit of time around each other. So
I mean, that, and they do those shows up right in front of the castle, where I think when we went last time, it was Mickey introducing a new princess.
Which was the new princess from Disney Junior. I forget.
Yeah, it was a Disney Junior princess, but Mickey and Minnie and all up there, we're all up there celebrating and having this big old show with the princess. So, yeah.
Well, the last thing Blake leaves us here is the question, what is the lifespan of a Disney princess? Like, how long do you think they stay in that character? And the answer is, it varies greatly. So one good note is it does say Disney doesn't want to just kick you out because you've grown up or you've changed a little bit, but it probably does depend on what you look like. And it says that there's a lot of variance probably just based on the individual. How long do y'all think a princess could stay a princess?
I'd say from about 20-ish up to maybe 30. Probably more 28 or so.
I think it depends on however long they can fit the part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes
as long as they stay young looking, though, is my thing. Because they want the princesses looking young like they did in the movies.
Well, just because a princess is 45 years old, does that mean they can't be a princess?
They could, but they need to be looking a lot younger.
I think it's just how it says it varies greatly. I think that definitely is a very true statement because you said someone that's 45 may look young enough to play a Disney princess. You never know what makeup can do.
Gosh.
Well, maybe Sparkles will be a Disney princess someday and can let us know.
Oh, yeah.
What that's like.
And get us park tickets.
That's right.
Uh-huh. I'll try.
Okay, our next story comes from filmschoolrejects.com.
Nice.
Natalie Mockery wrote an article called Investigating the Reason Why Cars 3 Exists. So just to remind you guys, Cars 3 comes out tomorrow. and
Yeah.
they are going to point out some things about Cars 3 that I didn't know in the article. Let's just start this conversation with this. Do you think Cars and Cars 2 were successful movies for Pixar?
I think after they already came out of theaters and they started selling on DVD and everything, yes.
Yeah, box office probably wasn't all that good.
Just because
Well,
Cars is the kind
the
of thing where, sorry.
Well, I was going to say the first Cars was highly successful.
Yeah.
Cars 2, if I remember right, wasn't as successful, but it still made quite a bit of money.
I have to remember because we never really saw, I don't think, the first Cars in theaters. And if we did, I don't remember it. We all watched it more after it already came out and on DVD and all
That's right. Y'all are young. I guess I was the only one that saw it in theaters.
youngsters.
Well, let me give you some figures here. So overall, Cars films in the box office are considered to have done poorly. The first Cars movie did a little bit better than the second one, but if you look at the 17 films that Pixar has made, Cars 2 is third lowest in box office.
I didn't know that.
The first Cars ended up on the first weekend made about $66 million first weekend. I'm sorry, 66 million overall in America. Cars 2 was about 52 million. The only films that really did worse were A Bug's Life and A Good Dinosaur has been the lowest earning Pixar movie to date.
Oh.
Wow.
I guess I thought it was successful because I was so young. It was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that.
Of course, the first Cars movie came out, I believe it was 2007. Cars 2 was 2011. So they're a little bit older. But okay, here's the kicker. Only 2 movies from Pixar have gone on to make 3 installments in the series. Cars bringing the third one out this week.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one?
Toy Story.
Toy Story.
Toy Story has done 3, and they actually have a 4th Toy Story scheduled to come out in a couple years.
Yeah.
If you look at the total revenue generated by these, though, Cars, even though the box office has been very low, the original Cars brought in over 10 billion with a B in merchandise sales globally.
Mm-hmm.
So does that surprise you? That's the reason I'm sure that they're bringing out Cars again is even though the box office isn't great, kids, especially kids, not adults, but kids love the merchandise.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I don't think it's a surprise that it made that much because I know I still very much enjoy Cars things. I mean, I have a little Cars seat right over there. You can kind of see it in the corner over there, but I think Cars is a great movie, even though it didn't do all that well in the box office. And I think it didn't surprise me when I heard how much it made off merchandising.
I think you're right. I mean, your Cars, to me, is definitely geared more as a kid movie. I don't think that it's definitely not going to pull the amount of people that Star Wars did as like a whole family movie.
No.
So like, I don't think people my age are going to go see it as much. But, you know, one of our trips to Disney World, many years ago when the first Cars came out. It was full of Cars merchandise, and they were selling it fast. So I can see that.
Yeah, most people your age, Flash, you old person, really would only go see it because of memories they have of the original Cars. I know some people that really just won't go see it because they never saw the original Cars movies.
Well, that's why I'm going to go see Cars 3. Just because I've seen the other two. I got to go see it.
Well, T-Bone and I sat down last night and just popped in the original Cars and watched it for a few minutes. Actually, T-Bone probably watched half of it. I probably watched almost all of it. It was a good movie.
I thought it was a great movie.
It does, and they add stuff in there, I think, for the parents every now and then, but it's a good movie.
I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I have to go see the third one.
I think that along with the Toy Story movies are just really good kids movies. Like you said, Star Wars is geared more towards like a full family thing. But I think when you think of really good animated kids movies, Cars and Toy Story really kind of pop into your head.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because most of the reviews right now are saying that Cars 3 is it's more in line with the original Cars and has the same feel, and that it's pretty good, and it's supposed to have a twist ending, which I don't know what that twist ending is, and I don't want to know until I see it. But good
Well,
review.
of course it is. It's a Pixar movie.
Right?
Frozen, I mean,
But I
that
haven't-
ending was crazy.
Crazy, man.
Of course, Frozen wasn't a Pixar movie.
No, it wasn't.
Ooh,
Oh, you're right.
call them out.
That's true.
So the consensus is we're all going to go see Cars 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go see that this weekend for sure. All right, our third story has to do with business. Gabrielle Rousson from the Orlando Centennial wrote an article this past week about how Disney has just sued Orange County, Florida, for the property values that were being assessed for their taxes. And this is primarily for the land values where Magic Kingdom sits. According to Gabrielle, Disney actually filed over a dozen lawsuits, and they say that the county appraiser had exceeded their property's fair market value and incorrectly included the value of certain intangible property in the assessments. So let's see what they're paying taxes on for those lands. So we know how big Disney World is. Magic Kingdom, just Magic Kingdom itself, is valued at $437 million for the land. So that means they're paying taxes on $437 million worth of property value per year. That's just Magic Kingdom. Does that sound like a high number for the land where Magic Kingdom sits?
With how much space it takes up and in the location that it's in, it does make sense that it would be such a high number.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's in Orlando, which is one of Florida's biggest places. I mean, cities, I guess. And it's a huge amount of land. So, doesn't surprise me.
But you know, before Walt Disney bought up that land, which later turned into Orlando and all that, which he doesn't own. Of course, Disney doesn't own all of Orlando, but there wasn't much out there other than maybe orange fields and swampland. In fact, they had to drain a lot of that land, drain the water off of it just to be able to build on it.
That's why they built Bay Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Seven Seas Lagoon, excuse me. Sorry, not Bay Lake. But yeah.
So Magic Kingdom at $437 million. Hollywood Studios, in comparison, the land that it sits on is valued at $339 million. And then you have, think of all the resort hotels that are there. Just Caribbean Beach, which is the last resort that we stayed at the last time we were there. Caribbean Beach is valued at $209 million. And that's just the land that it sits on. Of course, all the improvements on top of that is taxed as well. So You're looking at several billions, many billions of dollars in land. Does it surprise you? And um, I guess we can understand why Disney raises prices as taxes go up. They have to make more money to pay more in taxes. Even
Yeah.
I agree, but what do you think about this appraiser that apparently is claiming more than what Disney should actually be paying? I mean, do you think that? I mean, I don't.
well, that appraiser says that he's not taxing them too high, and he actually vowed to hold their feet to the fire to make them pay more in taxes. Um, I don't know. Taxes is it's a hot button topic across all of the United States, and Donald Trump ran on a campaign of redoing taxes. But I'm just curious if you guys at your age even think about taxes and what Disney has to do. You know, everybody complains about ticket prices going up, but not a lot is said about how taxes and things like that go up.
Yeah, I know most people when they think of Disney, they think, oh, they have plenty of money, but then you look into how much they pay for only the land, then there's employees and all these different expenses. So I know I've never, the only thing that I've really thought that Disney pays a lot for was their employees. And then now looking at this land, you think, no wonder that ticket prices may go up. Need a they need a lot to be able to keep Disney World open and all their other Disney theme parks.
Right, exactly. So I'm not surprised that they're filing suit over this because obviously they must think they have a shot at winning. Um, and even if they save just a little bit, I mean, we're still talking about millions of dollars that Disney could be saving,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a huge saving for them. So,
It'd be a huge saving for anybody.
right. So I'm not surprised that they're going to fight that.
Yeah, and this property guy, he's not having a good time right now because in this article it says Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld are suing over like the property appraiser. So I mean, yeah.
So
We'll have to keep an eye on it and see who wins.
It'll be
Now,
interesting.
it will
Yep.
be. Now, speaking of money, there was an interesting article on the Market Watch website. Trey Williams came out with an article where he described Golden State's dominance over in the NBA Finals this past week may actually cost Disney $130 million.
What?
According to Trey, of course, we know that Golden State clinched the NBA title on Monday, and they did that in just 5 games compared to last year where they won on games, where the Cavaliers won in game 7. But the problem is there were 2 less games this year, and ESPN was the network that was covering the NBA Finals. And so based on there being 2 less games and the chance to advertise in those 2 games will actually affect Disney's bottom line this quarter when they report earnings. He estimates they've lost 130 million in revenue just from advertising, and related advertising to the NBA Finals will fall another 20 to 25%. So I don't know. The last thing I think about is Disney being affected by the NBA Finals. Does that surprise you guys any?
yeah, I was about to say, going back to expenses you never think about, thinking about the Warriors winning would cost Disney over $100 million. That's just would never appear in my mind at all.
Yeah, whenever I think of Disney, I think of more Disney World and the movies. I don't remember that they do own ESPN and ABC and all that. So whenever something happens with ESPN, you're right. The first thing I think of is not Disney. I think of, oh, that network is losing money, but that network is Disney. So, yeah.
Well, and ESPN overall, here recently especially, has been struggling to compete against like Fox Sports and some of those other networks. You know, ESPN just laid off a bunch of their reporters and announcers. So I'm sure, especially after this happening, they're going to be in cost savings mode for a little bit.
It does appear that way. But, and you know, the only time I think of ABC and ESPN at Disney World is when we go to like Hollywood Studios. And I think we ate at the commissary, the ABC Studios commissary one
We
night
did.
while we were
Yeah.
there
Mhm.
and saw Jimmy Kimmel and all the different shows and stuff. But, you know, Disney is the owner of ABC
They are.
and all that affects them.
Yeah, well, you know, we could have gone to an Atlanta Braves game there at the Wide World of Sports, which is ESPN. It's neat.
So, what do you think if Disney comes out and says, "Well, we have to raise ticket prices by $20 to help pay for ESPN's shortfall this quarter"? Does that make you happy?
No, I don't want to have to pay for Steph Curry winning.
That's what I don't really care too much about sports like that. So
Well, let's
I would-
keep. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I would hope that I would hope that they keep those business segments separate, so that because that happens with ESPN, it doesn't affect Disney parks.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I feel like a lot of people would be upset if they came out and said, you know, we're raising ticket prices by $20 to, you know, recover from the NBA finals.
We're raising ticket prices because the Golden State Warriors are too good at basketball.
The Dole Whips are going up $1 a piece. See, I just can't do that.
I will not.
Okay, now that is painful.
See, it
I
is.
will not
I just-
stand for this.
Well, sticking with the money theme here, this pivot to this story by Nicola Oakley, who wrote a story about a mom from Europe that was, you may remember this story. I think we talked about it a couple of months ago. Anyway, she was asking for strangers through a GoFundMe page to pay for her kids and her to go to Disney World. And a lot of people really bashed her for that. But according to Nicola, the mom, is going to have the last laugh as she has raised over 7,000 pounds to take her kids to go. Convert that to American dollars is enough money for them to make that trip. So she's excited, and she, on her GoFundMe page, she said, "Thank you for being an angel and for sending me and my kids to Disney World." So what do you think? At the end of the day, her GoFundMe page worked. Does that surprise you? And do you think it's a good thing for someone to ask other people to pay for your vacation?
if it worked, I say we should try it. I mean, why not?
If people are willing to give their money for that, you know, then more power to her.
Mm-hmm.
I know I probably wouldn't. I would rather save it and pay for myself to go.
Apparently, she launched another page and said she wouldn't be bullied into removing it.
Right. She took the first one down because so many people were
Bashing
heckling
it.
over it. But then she put it up again and reached her goal.
So what would your friends say if you got on your Facebook page or your Instagram page and said, "Hey, I've got this GoFundMe page to send me to Paris Disney, Euro Disney"? What would they tell you guys? Would they support it, or would they be mad at you?
They would probably give me $1 and say, "Go have fun."
I don't even
Yeah,
know anybody that would give me $1.
They'd probably give me a few cents and say, "Oh, have fun," and then laugh and walk away. But
See, I wonder if, you know, she took it down the first time and she put it back up. And so I wonder if some of people's thoughts were they were contributing to kind of against cyberbullying, maybe. supporting her for standing up to it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
Now, this was on Facebook where it got the most traction. Her request was shared more than 18,000 times on Facebook.
Well, no wonder she went. People are going to donate as a joke or as an against bullying online. I mean, if it gets around to that many people, it's going to happen.
Well, I don't know that I would give money as a joke because
No.
I'm still having to give money.
I meant like 2 or 3 pounds for them. It adds up fast whenever you have 18,000 people looking at your GoFundMe.
Yeah, but even if someone only gave 2 or 3 pounds, that takes a lot of people to get up to 7,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I applaud her for it working. I don't know that I would contribute to that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people would contribute back to me, but
That's what I'm saying. We should really
I don't
start
know.
one and see if it
Maybe
works.
I'm just stingy.
I feel like some people only donated so that way they could tell their friends, hey, look at me. I'm a good person. I donated.
I would not.
Well, maybe we should try it.
I'm saying.
Go fund me.
My first thought is there is no way in the world I would ever do something like that. But
No,
that's just,
Bad
that's
rep.
just me.
It's because you haven't tried it.
I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh, but in a way, because you see this more and more now, where people just put up GoFundmes for no. People will put up a GoFundMe and say, "I just want money."
Yeah.
And people
And so I feel
donate
like
a couple cents.
Exactly. So
People also do GoFundMes about huge things that they aren't spending that money for. I mean, they just get them to do whatever with it.
I feel like it's encouraging laziness to a point. Because you don't have to go work to earn that trip. People just hand it to you.
Yeah, and how Sparkles was saying, people will do it as a joke. Well, if enough people do it as a joke, it makes them think I could continue doing this, and people might donate as a joke, but that's still giving me money, so they'll continue to do it. So, like people, like y'all were saying, how people just put it out there and say, "Give me money," even if people donate as a joke, that's still them getting money, which encourages them to do it more.
I still say we try it though.
Now let's table that thought and we'll talk about that at another time. That's a whole nother conversation right there.
Yes, it is.
Our last story comes from Thomas Claiborne, and this is a technology story where he describes how Disney has made a material to keep someone from using a 3D printer from copying like Disney memorabilia, different things from Disney. So anyway, Thomas says that in a patent application that was disclosed this past month, Disney researchers have described a process where they can create merchandise with a material that will resist 3D scanning through light distortion. What they do is they mix a light scattering plastic into the process where they make these, let's say, little characters or whatever out of plastic. And this material will absorb light and then reflect it in unexpected ways, which causes errors in 3D scans and will cause people trying to make a knockoff. It'll come out deformed. I don't know how much you've seen 3D printers, and probably in our part of the world, there's not a lot of 3D printing going on. But it's a big deal because they say in 2013, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development estimated that $143 billion worth of merchandise was counterfeited through 3D printing. So what do you think?
I think that it is very good that they were able to come up with that, because you hear about all these very expensive we reported on our last conversation that there was a man that had a Star Wars collection that was worth ridiculous amounts of money. And it could be as small as an action figure. If it's worth a lot of money, people could make knockoffs with 3D printers and sell it and make lots of money. So I think it's very good that Disney was able to come up with this idea to try to prevent that.
That's a good point, T-Bone, because just think about it. If you've just spent $1,000 on an action figure because it was a limited edition, maybe only 100 in the world were made or whatever, and then somebody in China turns around and prints 500,000 of those things, it would make you mad, wouldn't it?
And then it just decreases the value of it because it's no longer limited because there's so many. So those people that got them legitimately and paid real hard-earned money for it, all that's doing is basically wasting money, because if you pay $1,000 for something, someone prints off a ton of them, and that's only worth 100. Well, then those people that spent so much money on them, it just doesn't work out for them.
Yeah. Well, and I think counterfeit stuff is a big deal. Well, when we drive to Florida, as soon as you get into Florida, you see stores on the side of the highway that say they're selling Disney souvenirs,
Mm-hmm.
which, not judging, but probably more than likely are not genuine Disney souvenirs. So do you think that by stopping 3D printers, it's not going to stop counterfeiting, I don't think.
It will make it much more difficult.
Right. It'll make it more difficult in that they can't just make a quick scan of an item and have it duplicated in a 3D printer.
They'll actually have to go design it themselves and print it.
Right. And probably they won't take the time to do that, because most of those guys are probably just looking for a quick
Well, that's
dollar.
true. Yeah.
Because most people who are just trying to make easy money like that, if it requires effort to the point where if it requires effort to the point where you have to have knowledge about designing and things like that, they're not going to do it because it's not as easy as it once was.
If you're gonna copy something, why not just copy a $20 bill into your inkjet printer and print you out some money? That's why you see all these different security things in our money, plus the fact that printing software now is designed to recognize money and not allow the printer to print it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's not just figures and things like that. I mean, anything can be counterfeited.
Mm-hmm. I guess
like you're going to say something there, Splash.
I guess, it was bound to happen someday. That's interesting that you have to combat against 3D printing now.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. I guess it's just not as common in our part of the world. So I don't really think about 3D printing being an issue, but that's really interesting.
Well, something for another conversation on another day. Guys, you've done it again. This is another Disney conversation in the books.
Woo.
We're at double digits now.
Woo!
Guys, this is Disney conversation number 10. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, let me just remind you that you can see the video version by going to www.disneyconversation.com. Or if you're watching the video, you can go to any of your favorite podcasting apps and search for Disney Conversation, like on iTunes, and you can find us there. Guys, we keep telling you're going to make more money. Unfortunately, my 3D printer broke and I didn't get to print you any change. I was going to print you some quarters out and it didn't happen.
This is outrageous.
Well, never give up
my
hope.
agent's going to call you. I hope you know that.
Well, never give up.
Lawyers on the phone right now.
Don't give up hope. Maybe one of these days you'll actually start making some money off our conversations.
Let's just put up a GoFundMe.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, guys, let me just remind everybody that Disney Conversation number 11 will be a couple of weeks from now, because we are going on vacation and it is not Disney. Wah, wah, wah.
A single tear.
But you're going to have fun anyway.
All
Yeah,
right.
we are.
So we'll have another conversation in a couple of weeks. Guys, until then, have a great Disney week and I will see you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye, guys. See you soon.